So what do you think it is about defining that audiences have really liked, because you won all these awards? I mean, what do you think it is that gets to them?
Sure, I think the reason people really relate to the film is because it does deal with domestic violence, but the film is not solely about domestic violence. I think what it also does is that, for me as an actor and for Alonso as a director, our objective was to tell a good story. And sometimes young directors tend to overcomplicate things. Being simplistic is actually much more profound. And I think when you pare it down, you're kind of left with those things in front of you. And I think people responded to those things. And it is, it's a human story. A father and a son trying to deal with each other, and how he has to replace the mother's role. When you have a father, in our culture, there's a lot of machismo, and so sometimes, the men won't do what women do, and that doesn't mean just cooking and cleaning. There's an emotional aspect to it as well. The nurturing, yeah. And so now this father has to sort of step into the role of the mother as well, and all of those things together, and also working was something that was new to him, and I think a lot of people related to that. I also think a lot of people related to maybe the domestic violence issue as well. But I think at the end of the film, they find there is hope, and I think that those elements were the things they responded to.
And about your character, I mean, I don't know what it's like to be an actor, but maybe the different challenges you have with each one. What did you think about this one? Is it easy for you to just step in and be like, okay, I'm going to do this?
Well, the thing is, my job as an actor is not, I'm not a method-y actor in terms of, well, I take that back. We all have a method, My method of acting is, first it's got to be believable. I'm dealing with a very young actor. I was actually very fortunate because they had cast this wonderful actor named Alejandro Felipe Flores. He's sort of like a little young Leonardo DiCaprio right now in Mexico. He's an actor from Mexico City. And this little boy was something special because he was so in touch with his emotions and his feelings. And so he actually, and I'll give credit to him, he made it a lot easier for me because I was a little bit, it's hard to work with children, but he was on a whole other level. So my job as an actor in that film, was difficult because, I have to, shape him up a bit. But he gave back tenfold. So, acting is reacting. And so what you're seeing on film is that, you're seeing real emotions, real reactions. And thanks in part to this wonderful casting of this really wonderful young actor.
And as far as what's going on right now, you have something in common with Cowboys and aliens.
Yes, I do have something. Fictional cowboys and aliens. I ride horses.
Well, you're from Fort Worth.
Yeah, I'm from Fort Worth. I'm from Cowtown. So I do speak to myself. So maybe aliens can show up in my mind. Now, there's actually a film called Cowboys and Aliens, directed by John Favreau. Stars Harrison Ford, Daniel Craig, Sam Rockwell, Olivia Wilde, and a slew of other well-known actors. Paul Dano, Keith Carradine, wonderful Mexican actress, Ana de la Reguera. And I'm one of those supporting actors in the film, and I play one of Daniel Craig's ex-gang members. And this takes place in the late 1800s, and basically produced by Steven Spielberg and Ron Howard. So this is the other spectrum of movie making. We've been concentrating at this festival, the Rosemary Film Festival, on independent films and celebrating films and filmmakers. And we got to see The Ministers last night, so I was really excited about that. And seeing it on Skype.
I know.
Let me tell you, cutting edge stuff going on last night, and watching Frank Reyes look at his audience. There he is on the big screen in high resolution and great sound. I've never seen that. I've been to every festival in this country. That has never happened. I've never seen that. So it was really exciting to see that. But going back to your question, yeah, it's a blockbuster movie. I was very fortunate to be in that thing, and I play, Mexican gang member in the late 1800s, and they get attacked by these aliens who are there to wreak havoc on them. Of course, I can't say too much,
Okay. As far as, we were talking about this earlier, and that's something I wanted to ask you when I found out I was going to be talking to you. What did get you give you that courage to say, you know what, I am going to act? Because I can say that, you know, as a child or myself and many others were like, oh, that sounds cool, that would be so cool, but, you know, you get, you know, well, that's not really going to take me anywhere, it's too hard to make it in there, or, you know, you mentioned, for example, Cowboys and Aliens, there's only you and Unedited as Latinos, right?
Yeah, and again, right, yes, that's right.
And so,
yeah.
you know, it's kind of like, what, you know, what's going on there? What do you think is that big holdback, or I don't know, what do you think is going on with that?
I don't think they specifically thought, well, you know, we're just going to cast these two Latin characters. I think that, you know, a lot of things get done in Hollywood, and we say Hollywood because it's, you know, it's what we always say, but really Hollywood is a county, Hollywood County, you know. No, I think what happens is that when people are making films, you know, they don't do things intentionally. They don't intentionally leave us out of the fray. The issue is I don't think we have enough writers, we don't have enough producers when it comes to trying to bring more Latin actors into the mix. But at the end of the day, I think, you know, it's a question of, you know, is it a Latin project or not? Well, typically, I don't think we should ever say it's a Latin project. The project could be about redemption. It could be about friendship. It could be a love story, a romance, who happen to have Latin characters in them. And I think that you can open yourself up to have more non-traditional casting, which would include even more Latin actors. And, you know, it's so monumental to make a film that there's a lot of input coming from a lot of places. And it would be great if someone had the courage to say, you know, this would be very interesting to cast a Latin person, but it has to come from an intelligent place.
Do you think that the talent's out there? Do you think there are...
Oh, you know, we did Dracula, okay? The first Dracula that came out, with Bela Lugosi, right? Bela Lugosi and all the actors would leave during the day. I mean, at night, okay, because they would be shooting all day, and then at night you would have this Mexican, you know, cast come in and recreate the same movie using the sets and the sounds of what they were doing. I mean, we've been in this business a very long time. We were huge in the silent era. So this idea that there's this Latin wave coming and going, it's just preposterous. I think what happens is that people gain the courage and realize we're viable, but it's other people telling us we're viable. I think what it is that the people who happen to be Latins in this business, we can't think of, oh, we're just Latins. You know, we have to bring everyone into the mix, but we must tell our stories. We must write those stories, but at the same time, not perpetuate the stereotypes that have been put on us. And that's the key. You know, at the end of the day, you got to tell a good story, no matter what. I don't care if you're Latin or not.
Right.
You know, you have to tell a good story.